In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 54 different essential Linux commands you need to know. We'll start with some of the most basic but essential commands. You can type pwd, short for print working directory, to show what directory you're currently in. If you want to list the contents of the directory, then you can type ls, short for list. If you want to see more information about these files, you can do ls-l to get a nice list view. You can do ls-lh to get human readable file sizes, and you can do ls-a to show all files, including hidden ones. Now, if you want to clean up your terminal screen, you can do Ctrl-L or execute the clear command. Now, if you want to move to a different directory, you can do cd for change directory. I have one here called dev. If I press enter, I'll move into it. You can do cd, start typing the name of the directory, and press tab, and it'll auto-complete it for you. Then you can press enter and move into that. If you want to go back to the directory you were previously in, you can do cd followed by dash and press enter. If you want to move to your home directory, then you can do cd tilde or just cd and press enter. If you want to create a new directory, then you can do mkdir, new directory. Now, if I do an ls here, there's another option you can provide, -- color equals auto. You'll see the new directory right there. Now you can use the alias command to define a new command that'll be a shortcut to another or a combination of commands. For example, I can do ls equals ls -- color equals auto. If I do ls and press enter, you'll get the colors now. If you want to see where the executable is for a given command, you can type which, and for example, let's say cd. cd is a built-in command. If I do which make directory, it'll give us the path to the executable. If I do which ls, we'll see the information for the alias that we just created. You can also use whereis followed by the name of the command to see the command's executable, source code, and man pages. If you need help understanding what a command does, then you can use man. For example, if I do ls here, we'll get information about the command. You can use F to move forward one full screen, or B to move backwards, or J to scroll down, and K to scroll up. You can also do / to look for something. Let's say, for example, -L. You can do N to go forwards through results, or Shift N to go backwards. To close the man page, you can do Q. If you do whatis followed by the name of a command, it'll give you a very quick summary about what it does. You can use touch to create a new file, say new file.txt. It can also be used to update the timestamps of a specific file. If I do an ls here, our new file will be created. You can use echo to output a specific string. Let's just do hello there. If I press enter, it'll just repeat that, but with a redirection. For example, if you use greater than and the name of a file, it'll redirect the output of the previous command and overwrite the contents of that file. If I press enter here, if we want to see the contents of new file.txt, then we can use cat. We can do new -f and press tab, press enter, and we get the file contents. If you want to append new text to a file, you could do something like this, echo more text for the file, and then 2 > signs, and again, the file name. If I do cat new file, it'll have both lines. Instead of using cat to see the contents of a file, it's often better to use less, which is a terminal pager. I'll open my tmux markdown file. If I do J, I can scroll down, K scroll up, F to move down a page, B to move up a page, / and search for text, and Q to exit. If you want to actually edit a text file, then you can use nano followed by the name of the file. You can start typing here, and then you can press Ctrl X. It'll ask if you want to save your changes. You can press Y for yes or N for no. I'll press N, and it'll close it. If instead you want to use vim, which is my preference, then you can do vim followed by the name of the file. Then you can press I to go into insert mode. Then you can start typing text. Press escape to go back to normal mode, then : followed by W for write and Q to exit. I regularly use neovim instead, but that's a topic for a whole other video. Now you can use the cp command, short for copy, to copy a file somewhere else. First you type the source, so let's say I want to copy my tmux setup markdown file and I want to move it to the parent directory. You can use ... to specify the parent and press enter. If I move up to my parent directory, you can do this with cd ... and do an ls. You'll see the file there now. Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in getting better at using Linux and working on the command line. And if you're like me, you might be interested in learning more about programming and computer science. Today's video sponsor, Brilliant, is the perfect place to do just that through visual, interactive problem solving and personalized practice. Just recently, I started their new algorithmic thinking course, and I've really enjoyed going through it to get better at problem solving as well as thinking about and designing algorithms. Because the exercises are interactive, it really forces you to think about the proper solution in a hands-on way, which is the best way to learn. If you want to start using Brilliant today and start learning for free, you can go to brilliant.org/JosianMartinez, scan the QR code on screen, or click the link in the description. Brilliant's also been kind enough to provide us with a 20% discount if you decide to sign up for the annual premium subscription, which gives you unlimited daily access to everything they have to offer. Thanks again to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. You can use mv for move to move and rename files. Let's say I want to rename tmux-setup.md to tmux-setup v2.md. If I do an ls again, you'll see it has the new name. If you want to remove a file, then you can use rm followed by the name of the file. If I do an ls again, you'll see that the file is gone. And you can use rmdir to remove empty directories. If I do something like mkdir and call it empty, if I do an ls, we'll see it right there. And now if I do rmdir empty, fix that, and then I do an ls again, the directory will be gone. If you want to remove a non-empty directory, then you can use rm followed by -r for recursive, followed by the name of the directory. For example, posts. I'll press enter, and then if I do ls, my whole post directory and everything within it is gone. Be very careful with doing rm-r, especially if you use f for force, as you can go as far as deleting your whole system by mistake. For safety, you can do rm-i followed by the name of a file, and it will ask for confirmation. You can do cmp to compare two files. This will be byte by byte. If you want to run previous commands, you can use the up arrow. To go to the start of this line, you can do Control A, and let's change this to a different command, diff, and this will actually show you what's different between these two files. Now to see your username, you can do whoami, and to add a new user, you can do adduser followed by the username, let's say Josian, and press enter. As you can see, some commands will require you to execute them as root. To execute a command as root with super user privileges, you can do sudo. You'll get asked for your password. After you enter it, you'll be good to go. Now this command will ask you for a password for the new user. And optionally, you can add more information for the user. Now that we have a new user, you can switch to it by using su for switch user and the username. It'll ask you for the user's password. Now we're that user, and if I want to stop being this user, I can just type exit and press enter. If you want to remove the new user, you can do sudo userdel followed by -r for recursive, so that we can remove the home directory and the contents within it, and then the username. As you can see, the user no longer exists. To change your user's password, you can use passwd, then you'll need to enter your current password and then provide a new one. You can use uname followed by -a to see information about your system, but there's much better commands for this. You'll have to install them though. If you're on Ubuntu or Debian, you can do sudo followed by apt, which is the built-in package manager. On other Linux distros, this will be different. Then you should run update first, so you can get the latest packages, and then you can do sudo apt install followed by the name of the package. In this case, we want to install neofetch. Now if I run neofetch, I'll get much better information for the system in a really nice, beautiful format. Now let's say you want to download a file from the internet. You can use wget followed by the URL of the file. If I press enter, this just downloaded a bash script for playing Wordle on the terminal. Now if I do ls, you'll see the file right here. If I actually want to filter the results of ls, then we can use grep. Grep is used to search for patterns in files or from other outputs. If I do ls and I pipe this to grep, I only want to see anything that matches Wordle. The pipe command redirects output from one command as input to another. Now if I do ls-l to see more information about this file, and I pipe this to grep and filter for Wordle, we'll see here the file permissions, and if we were allowed to execute the file, we should be seeing an X here. We don't have that, so we should change the file's permissions. We can do chmod and then +X followed by the name of the file. We just turned this file into an executable. If I use my up arrow here twice to run this command again, you'll see the X's now indicating that we can execute the file. Now this is a bash script, so I could do bash followed by wordle.sh, and I can start playing Wordle. Now let's say that I want to be able to execute this shell script no matter where I am on my system. One way of doing this is adding it to a directory that is in the path. If I do echo $path, we'll get a list of all the directories that are in the path, and as you can see there is a .local/bin directory where I could add this file. Now instead of doing something like cp to copy and then the name of the file wordle.sh and the destination would be my home directory /.local/bin, instead of creating a copy of the file, it's a better idea to create a symlink. You can create a symlink with the ln command followed by -s to create a symbolic link. The target is the Wordle file inside of my home directory, and I want the link itself to be located in the .local/bin directory and be called just Wordle. Now if I do ls-l and list the contents of .local/bin, you'll see that Wordle is a symlink to the wordle.sh shell script. Now if I do Wordle and press enter, I can start playing Wordle no matter where I am. So if I go into my dev directory and type Wordle, awesome. Now you can also use curl to download files from the internet, but you can go beyond this to interact with other stuff like APIs. For example, let's say I want to interact with TMDB, which is a movie database API. I could run the following command to get sci-fi movies sorted by popularity and that were primarily released in 2010. Now the output is JSON, and by default it's not very easy to read. If you want to get pretty JSON output on the terminal, you can install JQ. Let's do sudo apt install JQ, and then we can run the previous command again and pipe the output to JQ. Now I have a much nicer output. Another really cool command for processing text is awk. Let's say for example that I do ls-lh, pass this to grep, and filter for Wordle. Now let's say that I only want the file size and the file name. Then I can do awk print, and I want column number 5 and column number 9. We'll do ls-lh, pass this to grep and filter for Wordle, and then pass this to awk. Printing specific columns in an output is a really common use case for awk. Another useful command for replacing text is the sed command. I have a file here called sed-example with a bunch of hello worlds. If I do sed s/world/there/g followed by the name of the file sed-example, and I press enter, it replaced all the occurrences of world with there. Now if I output the contents of the file again, you'll see that it remains the same. If you actually want to change the file, then you have to add -i. Now let's say you want to compress a directory, you can use zip followed by the archive name. Let's do dev.zip, and then whatever we want to compress. Let's say I want to compress my dev directory. If I do ls here and grep for dev, we'll see the zip file. Then you can do unzip, and then whatever you want to unzip. You can just leave it like this or use -d to change the name of the destination. Let's do unzipped dev. Now you can use the find command to find files. If you use find, you then specify where you want to start the search. We want to search by name. Then we can use the star followed by .jpg, for example, to find all files that end with .jpg. You can also do find starting point -type and D to look for directories, then -name. Let's say we want to find all directories called dev. If you want to take a look at your IP addresses, then you can use the IP command followed by addir show. And I get my IP address right here. Now let's say you want to check if a website is up and running, then you can use ping. I'll ping hosian.com. This will show me that the website is online and the round trip time for a connection. We can use the free command to see the amount of used and free memory on the system. If you use free-h, you'll see more human readable results. You can use df to see information on disk usage. You can do df-H to see more human readable results here as well. You can use ps to see running processes. To see all of them in a user-friendly format, you can do ps-aux. Let's say you want to find a specific process. For example, I could do ps-aux, use a pipe, and then I want to filter for whereis, which is my terminal emulator. We have 3 results here. If I want to kill one of them, I can use the kill command -9 and then provide the process ID. In this case, it's probably this one, 3476. I'll copy, paste, and we've terminated whereis. If instead you want to kill a process with a name, you can do pkill-f and then the name, whereis. Another really nice way of seeing processes is with the top command. This is dynamic and it keeps updating, and an even nicer one is with htop. You might need to install it and then run htop. Cool. If you want to run system services, which run in the background, and as soon as the system boots up, you can use systemctl. For example, I have PostgreSQL installed on this system. To check the status of a service, you can do sudo systemctl status, followed by the name of the service. In this case, is PostgreSQL. As you can see, it's enabled but inactive. We can do sudo systemctl start PostgreSQL to start it up. I can do sudo systemctl restart PostgreSQL to restart it, and stop to stop it. If you want to see all of your running services, you can do systemctl list units, type equals service, and state equals running. Now to see all of the commands we've executed in the past, we can type history. For some reason with zsh, which is my shell, it's not showing all of them. I can do history followed by 1 to see a much larger list. And then again, to close the terminal, we can do exit. Alright you guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting and helpful. If you did, don't forget to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions or feedback for me. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more content like this from me. See you guys in the next one. Peace.